Well, hello everybody, Newbornkilik here, welcoming you back to another awesome Zelda theory, or should I say, 3 awesome Zelda theories. Today we're going to be taking a look at none other than the classic Zelda wiki for some of those extra spicy, saucy theories about the hero shade. I was doing some research on the hero shade, and I actually found some kind of interesting theories that I thought I might like to bring to all of you. So as I said, we'll be looking at 3 theories from the wiki here. The possible grave of the Link from Ocarina of Time, which turned into the hero shade, of course. How the Link from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask may have been a Knight of Hyrule. And there's also a Stalfos theory, which is kind of interesting and may potentially tie into the other 2 theories. And of course, we're going to judge them extremely harshly and question their validity with our brain holes. Of course, I do encourage you to leave your own theories below or ideas on these theories. Real quick before we get started, like the video, yada yada yada. You know the drill. If you enjoy it, leave it a like, it makes me feel special. But let's get into exactly who the hero shade is for anyone who may not be quite up to pace. The hero shade is canonically known to be the Link from Ocarina of Time, which is the same Link from Majora's Mask. So Ocarina of Time happens, we have the childhood timeline, then he lives out, I would assume most if not all of his childhood into adulthood as a Hylian, which could be X amount of years. Who knows how long these guys actually live, but eventually he does end up dying and becomes the hero shade. There are a couple notable things about the hero's shade at this point that we need to make known. First off, he's quite upset about the fact that he's not really remembered as a hero. He's also pretty regretful for the fact that he wasn't actually able to pass along his super secret, amazing sword techniques. How many S's can we fit into this sentence? Wrapped up like a nice little bow, that one did, huh? So as I mentioned before, Hero's Shade is pretty regretful for the fact that he's not really remembered as a hero. I mean, when you think about it, he did all this stuff in Ocarina of Time, but no one would remember that during the childhood timeline. He went back in time and essentially undid all of his hard work as an adult. Kind of weird when you think about it that way, but I'd be pretty regretful if I went into the Shadow Temple ever. And what does the man have to show for it? Nothing. No one remembers him. I guess I shouldn't say nobody remembers him. After all, the light spirits seem to know who this legendary swordsman is, along with some girl named, God, I'm gonna butcher this name too. Ashi? This. Yeah, that. Just pretend I said that the first time, okay? Oh yeah, and I guess I should mention, if you don't know, the hero's shade is the guy who teaches you all the special moves in Twilight Princess. So he's kind of making amends for not being able to, pass along all of his sword stuff. Even in the afterlife, it's good that he got that, so good for him. Finally, let us get into the 3 theories from the wiki. Now, there are no notes as to who actually came up with these ideas, so unfortunately I won't be able to give credit to them. Now, these 3 theories will be in order of how I believe that they kind of work together. All 3 of them, or at least 2 of them, work together, and you kind of need one to build off of onto the other. So first, we're going to start off with the one that I kind of don't really like much at all. It doesn't make sense in the grand scheme of things, but it's here and there are some notable points. The fact that Hero's Shade actually wears this kind of armor that he has on kind of hints that maybe he was a Knight of Hyrule at some point, and may have known about, here's that name again, Ashe's father, which kind of would explain why this girl who seems like, why would she know who this legendary swordsman, why would they know about them, other than the fact that perhaps maybe they knew each other? It also brings up the idea that perhaps maybe most of the other knights didn't really know that he was kind of this legendary swordsman, but something that does kind of ring true here with my own, thoughts would be that he regrets not passing on his abilities, which kind of leads me to believe that maybe Link was actually killed in battle or something like that. He didn't get to do all the things that he wanted to do in life. So that kind of leads me to believe, again, that he was killed. This could have been serving as a knight. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't really like the idea that Link was a soldier of the Hyrulean army. At least not the Link from Ocarina of Time. The dates just don't really seem to match up. After all, this girl, as she father, would have had to have known for this idea to make sense. They would have had to have known that this person existed, which means her father trained with her in the mountains, or trained with her somewhere. I don't remember exactly where it was, but they trained together, which means they were obviously alive at the same time, which, by a byproduct of that, means that the Link from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask would have had to have been alive during this little girl's lifespan, or at least within, 20, 30, maybe 40 years, kind of at the max there. So that really doesn't put much time between Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, and in that entire time, a new hero of time was awakened. There's just not enough time for the old hero to die and the new hero to be awakened, basically. In most other cases, it's hundreds of years. There's so much, it's so far down the future, it just doesn't make much sense in my opinion. Next we have the Stalfos theory. This theory kind of stems from the idea that in Ocarina of Time, it is stated that anyone other than a Kokiri, Link is not a Kokiri, he is a Hylian, will be cursed. With the children becoming Skull Kids, as we see one of those was met with that unfortunate fate, and the adults becoming Stalfos, and apparently finding a buckler and a sword every single time. Why do they keep laying these around if this is such an issue? The hero Shade does resemble a Stalfos, even with the glowing red eye. Now this idea kind of hints that maybe he may have spent his final days in the Lost Woods before eventually dying from the curse. Or perhaps it's just that entering the Lost Woods at all was enough to curse him, essentially meaning that as soon as Link entered this area, he was doomed to die and become either a Skull Kid or a Stalfos. Now, of course, the hero Shade does not exactly resemble a standard Stalfos, but it's still pretty interesting to think about and leads very nicely into the third theory, which is actually more of fact given form to the second theory. This is the theory about the possible grave for the Link from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Now, this is actually my favorite theory, again, because it does kind of tie back to the other one, but it makes a lot of sense when you really think about it. I'll just read this one straight off of the wiki to you, and I think you'll kind of see where my mind's going. In the castle graveyard of Twilight Princess, there is a notable tombstone stating that a cursed swordsman rests beneath a sacred tree. This could be referring to the hero of time himself, which may mean he could be buried in the castle graveyard. I don't like that last part. It says he rests beneath a sacred tree. My mind immediately goes to the Great Deku Tree, or at least the husk of the old Great Deku Tree, which makes sense. I mean, that is where that Link grew up as a child from ages question mark to 10-ish. So it makes sense that he might want to be buried back in that area, since he did enter the Lost Woods and was probably cursed with whatever this Stalfos turning curse is. It would make sense that he would be known as the Cursed Swordsman, and in my mind there's no doubt that this sacred tree is talking about the Great Deku Tree, and this tombstone is just kind of a way of showing respect to him. He may not have wanted to be buried there, he probably wanted to be buried in his home area where he grew up as a child. Before he had to go into caverns and get eaten by likes and literally fight evil. It was a simpler time for him, probably just wanted to remember it. Anyway, that concludes this video. If you did enjoy it, please do consider leaving a like. Real quick, I'd like to just plug my gameplay channel. We're playing the Ocarina of Time randomizer over there at the moment. I also have a Banjo-Kazooie / Zelda mod that we recently played. Should be out by the time this comes out, but yes, more than welcome to go over and check that out. A link will be in the description and on screen very shortly. Anyway, let me know what you think of this theory down below. If you have any other ideas, questions, concerns. Again, these are not necessarily my theories. I just kind of added some of my ideas to them. Anyway, I'm Newbornkilik, and I will see you in the next one. I'm out.